Have we got anybody? Nobody here yet. That's good. Gives us time to fully prepare. We have cloud. We've had intermittent rain showers here as well. So we'll just sit with this and see if anybody comes in. Started this at 4:44. Just noticed it's 44 seconds that we're into this video. We just wait and see, because I'm talking to nobody at the moment. That's the thing with a live when you start it early. Hello. If you could I would appreciate if you could just put a comment if the sound is coming through okay and the picture quality is okay or reasonable, because it's set at 1080 to keep the sort of size down. Putting things to the test here, weather manipulation, I say we have equal power, or more than equal power. I will come on to that a bit further in this video. This is not going to be like the last live I did 5 hours ago. This is something completely different. This is a far more condensed version, which I'm aiming to keep to about half an hour, which will give you all the answers in one go. Is that even possible? When there's a few more in, we will, there's a little group exercise I'd like you to take part in. Oh, one moment, I'll try and get this to light. You can have a look at the sky. And we're back. Oh, no, we've got nobody here now. That's if we can trust the figures that we're shown with anything anyway. Right, so 2 questions that I can answer as with one. Actually, it brings in more, but I'm going to try and keep this simple, because the answers are very simple. They just appear to be very difficult and very involved. That's reflected in this material world of legal. How much paperwork is there involved in all that? It appears a complete minefield to try and get through. But it's a reflection. So before I go any further, I do apologise for the coughing. So let's get to the questions, because that brings into this. Before we even get to that, let's go with everything is potential. So potentially there may be somebody new to this channel that I'm talking to. Ah, Mr. Fish. Hi, Mr. Fish. Yeah, because this is fishing of a kind, as in standing on solid ground and saying cast your nets on the other side. So first of all, let me introduce myself, a formal introduction, because I am reflecting the answer to the questions. The questions being, who am I? What am I here for? Which is also applied to the Great Pyramid of Giza. What is it for? What is its function? The answer is exactly the same to both. Let me explain. Would it be fair to say that inside you have internal passages and chambers? Would it be fair to say that the pyramid also has that. The Great Pyramid of Giza we're specifically referring to here. As I've said, it's an architectural representation of human physiology. So what we're going to do in this video, we are going to fully construct the Great Pyramid of Giza. Incidentally, before we go any further, I don't know how many actually thought this was going to be from the Stonehenge and Salisbury Plain in the UK. Because Stonehenge just basically, it's like calling a public house brick public house. It's a circle of stones. It's a henge and it's stones. There was a wood henge, so the story goes, before that. So I'm giving you a little bit of history of the past, or the story we're told about it. And I'm going to take you to the future. So I'm doing exactly what the Great Pyramid of Giza does. It is a record of time. That hopefully will become more apparent as we go on to this. So how many have we got here? It's saying 2, but let's do this anyway. This is a group exercise. So all I'd like you to do is stand up. Stand to attention. Now I'm going to draw on a lot of archaics in this video, because that is watertight in what is shown. If you are one of these people that doesn't like Jason Bashir's, doesn't like archaics, well, let me just say, first of all, before you react, you're going to do yourself an awful disservice not to hear this. The intention of this will benefit you, I feel, and I feel this will become apparent as we go on. So standing to attention, you are like a pillar. That is how the pyramids have been described, as pillars. But I don't want you to stand to attention. I don't want to cause tension. So I'd like you to stand easy. Now, what I'd like you to do, what we're going to do, we're going to replicate the beneficial hidden hand. The one that works in subtle ways. You don't actually see the hand, you see the synchronicities, you see the divine timing, you see the coincidences, you see the wonder in the way things unfold that the conscious mind cannot put together. So you've already got the negative polarity, the hard impact stories that are broadcast, the sensations. But we're not going to go with that. We're going to go with the opposite polarity, with a benevolent polarity. So what I'd like you to do, so hopefully you can see this, from the standing to attention, it's as above, so below. So with this, what is called the Kundalini rising, it's up and to the right. So put your weight slightly onto the left foot. Slide your right foot across so you're standing easy. Like on a parade ground, you would stand easy. It's more comfortable. You're no longer at tension. You're now balanced. If you think about it, you've almost formed the bottom part of the pyramid in the shape you've taken in this stance. I'm going to sit down now anyway. I feel so alive. I really do. And I'm not afraid to, well, I don't know who's going to hear me here. So this is why we use the resources we've got, like YouTube. What a great way of communicating to many that I would not be able to communicate in any other way. There is a perception that these things are all negative, but we're in a realm of contrast, so it's as much it's an asset as it can be perceived as something that is a weapon. So what if I was to tell you that you had a phoenix inside of you? Because as above, so below. So, a hypothetical scenario, you were, say, a millionaire, but it's all in Bitcoin, and we've just had, like last Monday, a power outage. So, how are you going to access that million? Maybe you had to pay a bill out of what's in that Bitcoin, and now you can't access it. Now you're in debt. It could be that you've got a million tied up in shares, and that's just wiped overnight in the stock exchange, and you've lost everything. It would surely feel like your whole world has come crashing down around you. Another example would be a marriage comes to an end, or a relationship comes to an end. It could be anything, losing a job. That feeling that the world has collapsed around you, that's your Jericho moment. See, from that, because you're still alive, you haven't died, you've had things that aren't so pleasant happen to you, but from that you can rise from the ashes. That is your phoenix rising, finding that power inside yourself. Now, with the forward and backward in time thing, I have said and I assert that the Great Pyramid of Giza is a representation of human physiology. It has internal chambers and passageways, just like we have airways and such like. So, you've got the 7 chakras, you've got the place of the sun, which is the gut feeling, the God feeling. What can sit above that? And this is personal testimony, having a tuning fork frequency healing session, I felt something physically unlock. That's one of the gatekeepers, because there's an internal version. It's what you accept as possible or what you dismiss as impossible, which is I am possible, just abbreviated. Things are thinly disguised. So another example of this, and this is a pattern which is used in the external world rather a lot. If I was to say to you, I'm now speaking to the English amongst you, what would your perception of that be? Would I be saying that I'm only speaking to people who are born in England? Would I be speaking to people where English is their first language? Would I be talking to anybody who can speak English sufficiently? And don't forget, with things like YouTube, you've got auto-translate. So now who am I really talking to? And you'll see this pattern, whatever the label is, whether it be Israelites or whatever, they've all been misappropriated. So you can't actually look at anything and say, oh, that with that label is good or bad, because everything's been misappropriated. We're in a realm where everything is fraudulent. Even the realm itself, it's a copy. It's not a true thing. So, I mean, why am I Dr. Juan Forfar, for example? Because it's the closest I can get to showing you 144. Can you think of where the 144 is expressed, say, in architecture? So we've already built the lower section of the pyramid, the body. This is why it is missing the capstone, because it requires us to find the capstone inside ourselves. I have found a way to do that. Excuse me. And that is when you draw a line in the sand. In my particular case, that is recognition that this whole legal system is fraudulent and is committing fraud to take part in it. Knowing that, I can no longer partake in it, because I know it is something wrong. I know fraud is wrong, so I will not be a party to it. That, of course, gives me enormous potential challenges in my present situation on a daily basis, but we don't give any attention to that. We don't put energy into fear of something that is only a potential. We move past that because we're creating the world, our own world within this world. You just need to go back to the original counting system of time, which is the calendar. And that, of course, is the day. So all you need to do is live day to day. And you can read that several ways, I feel. So you live today, today. Take each day as it comes. At the start of the day, you remember the future. So when you've got to the end of the day, you have that feeling of, that was a pretty awesome day. This video is riding off the back of Thursday. Monday was the power outage, and I said for that to be staged in this reality indicates to me that there is a contrast of a power onage, the power coming on, and it did so on Thursday. From talking to several people, they had magical sequence of events, things unfold, and it's this incoming positive feeling. So how was your Thursday? How did you feel a shift? Did you feel a change? Because I certainly did. You see, when you experience in feeling the true power, or at least part of it, of what is really inside us and why there is this infrastructure in place that would seem to be trying to prevent you from finding that, it's a very strange feeling, because one, it comes with that feeling of I'm alive, but it is balanced because we're in a realm of contrast, with one of that feeling of the enormous weight of it all. Knowing that information, being shown that information, feeling it inside, knowing it to be true. And it's like, whew, I can't really tell just anybody about this, because some of them would probably use it with a negative polarity intention, a self-serving one, not a benevolent one. But I will trust in the universe that this will only filter to those that are meant to hear it. It's a cliche saying, but it's also an element of truth. You cannot build a lie without there being a basis of truth. This is why the word analogy, it has the word anal, because it is connected to the root chakra. There has to be a fall from the place of the sun, the solar plexus, a fall by 2 places to the root. You have to get to the root of the thing. Check the sources, in other words. Which reminds me, there's a certain group that have this perception and this insistence that they are chosen. That, I feel, would be a very good place to actually weigh up, check the sources. To which God are you chosen, and for what purpose are you chosen? Because being a living Great Pyramid of Giza, rather than a physical, architectural stone version, and yet we have 12 essential salts, minerals inside us. So we do have a stone structure inside us anyway. But just like the Great Pyramid of Giza with the internal chambers, they're hidden from the outside world. What goes on inside the human body is hidden from the outside world. But it can do the same function, which is basically a Kundalini rising. When those gatekeepers will move out the way. They will only move out the way when you lose fear and doubt. That will unlock the door. You can help yourself with that with having tuning fork healing or something like that. Meditation, anything. whatever works for you. There's no one size fits all. Try what feels right to you, because the feeling is the true sight. You will feel it. So Dr. Juan Forfar, we're in a photo-negative reality, so if you can't see the AU in Juan, you're looking at it backwards. As Rudolf Steiner says, yellow, which is associated with light and with the sun and with radiance, if you add weight to yellow, you get gold. That's the gold that you're looking for inside yourself. It's there. It's whether you can get those gatekeepers out the way, but it is down to you to do it. This reality that I find myself in, just as a simple example, if I have 4 half chocolate biscuits, do I eat them all in one go, or do I just maybe have 2 and then save 2, and then if I'm looking forward to eating them, I've got 2 more? Or do I eat the lot and then now I've made a situation, if I want more, I've got to make this trip to Monchique? So it's personal accountability is being reflected in that. Did I mention about between these videos? I can't remember. Sorry, I'm forgetting to look at the bottom of the screen. Malt, is that? Hi. Thank you for joining. See, we've got 4 now. Let's see if we can get into double figures. So, the Great Pyramid of Giza, it's reflecting the present time. It's missing its casing stones because we have not strengthened up our aura. We have not put them back into place. There is a re-sun for everything in this reality, and it is all about re-sunning. It's finding that light inside yourself again. It's a pyramid, and yet it has 4 sides. It's a 3 and a 4, because you are mind, body and soul. There's also that other part, the whole point of it, which is the chief cornerstone, and that is the spirit. Entering into the spirit of the thing. I mean, just look behind me now. I don't know how well it shows. The Phoenix event, the Red Rain, I feel like Charlton Heston. What's happened here? Something just came up on the screen. Yeah, like Charlton Heston in that, I think it's Planet of the Apes, where you've only got the head of the Statue of Liberty, and he says, "My God, they did it," or "we did it," something like that. So, I mean, all I got to do is look at this red clay and wonder. Considering Lisbon isn't that far away, and in one of these Phoenix years, that whole harbour, all the ships, all the people just got gone. Whether they were taken out of this reality or whether they were just consumed by the earth, I don't know. It may be the collective energy of fear actually generated that, because it is our power that does generate everything. We are very much like batteries. Why is there all these all these invitations being put out for you to pick a side? Because it's harvesting your energy. The power outage was another example of it. So, getting back to the pyramid, because we need to complete this. We need to have that descent of that chief cornerstone. So when you know something is wrong and you draw a line in the sand, whatever is acceptable or not acceptable for you, you have boundaries. Just like in this reality, political concepts, there are boundaries called nation states. It's funny how birds and insects and things can all cross over and they don't get questioned or told they can't. But it's because we knowingly give away our power. Or unknowingly, I should say, give away our power, because it's all very deceptive. So it's piercing through this. So when you draw a line in the sand, as it were, and say that is no longer acceptable, you can find that you back yourself into a corner. Therefore, you find your chief cornerstone. That now has to settle See, I mean, I even reflect things. I think it was, oh, Howard Crowhurst. He was a guest on the Archaics channel showing how the meter is not a new measurement. It's the same pattern as, am I speaking to English people? Am I speaking to people who can speak English, or am I speaking specifically, or am I alternating the use of the term just to confuse? That's a pattern with this reality. All these identifying labels, you're none of those things really. You're what's running up and down that spine, that energy, your true gold, finding the sun inside yourself. There comes a realization with all of this that you go through each day so you can look back at each day and say that was pretty good, or that was amazing. I was able to just smile and say hello to someone that changed the way they felt about the day. Little random acts with no expectation of anything back. I only go to Monchique once a week because it's an hour and a half to sort of walk there, pushing a bike half the way and then cycling the rest of the way. But I go with no expectations, but how exciting. I wonder who I'm going to meet today, because I have met some very good people who are on a similar wavelength, and I'd like to think that things that I've spoken about, showing them how to, or showing that they've already got the power to manifest, they've already put the thing into practice, but not recognized that they have this technique, they have this blueprint. It is about creating the future. So you are like the Great Pyramid of Giza. You tell the future as much as you can tell the past. It's all happening internally. But when you find that chief cornerstone that descends upon you, of course, there has to be a second fall, like there was a second flood. It has to be heart-centered, of course. And the answer to that is very simple. Anything you are planning to do, if it is going to cause harm or potentially cause harm to another, you just put yourself in the position of the other and you ask yourself, would you want that done to you? See, the answers are really simple. Live each day as it comes, take each day as it comes, and remember the future. I think we're getting a bit wet. One moment. I did my best to keep it dry, manifesting, visualizing, doing this. But I also felt I had to take active steps going on the pattern of today, that it would be advisable to bring an umbrella. That's what the inner voice was saying. It's like, well, better to be standing here under an umbrella than standing here getting soaking wet, because that isn't doing my health any good, this dampness. Hence the coughing at the moment. Some will say it's the smoking, but when there's been the dry weather, I haven't had a problem. But since it's got damp again, I've found myself coughing again. There's a direct correlation there. But it's the way I would liken this experience between birth and death that we're here for. Treat it like when you're born, you've never played that computer game before, so you have no experience. So I'm going to use Mario as an example. And you've got to master jumping the turtle in the I think it is in the first level, and then you'll find maybe hidden wealth. And then you'll progress through level 1. You may take several goes at doing it, but you'll master the moves, and then you'll face your shadow self at the end of that level. Then you'll level up to level 2, and you'll go through similar experiences, but they get a little bit more difficult each time. But with the confidence that you build from the experience, totally changes everything. Can I prove that to you? I can, as living testimony, because likewise the Stonehenge, the little circle of us that are here now, it's a living henge, not a Stonehenge, although, like I said, you've got the 12 essential salts in the body, so you do have a mineral content, so you do have an ingredient of mineral in you, just like stone. But it's about being in the living God, the living testimony. So from week to week, I've been here just over 2 years. In that time, I have never had any sort of real employment. I've had an incredible lot of what people would call luck, the generosity of some of you who have sent me donations, and a few tarot card readings and things as well. But 2 years later, every so many weeks, it's like, oh, we're down to run out of funds. Where's the next week's grocery shopping coming from, and this sort of thing. And it's always resolved because all I've done is remember the future. I've come back from Monchique, I've got the groceries, I'm sitting there having a cup of coffee, having a smoke or whatever, and that sort of satisfaction and gratitude. I thought it's time to sort of break pattern. Hence doing a live and then doing a second one. None of this was planned or scripted. This all came off of just that feeling from Thursday. And this feeling of being alive. Likewise, where there is more than one flood, I would say there is more than one sort of Kundalini rising, because there has been several moments that I've experienced that are... I can't even find the words. It's just that feeling of joy and elation and invincibility. The complete loss of any fear. So that also, that keeps happening. So that is becoming more and more, it's becoming second nature, which is developing this fearlessness. That I would love to... Well, I'd love to be able to do it as like a cassette and say, here, pop that in, and you'll know exactly how it feels. But the only way you will know how it feels is to take the active steps, because we are in an interactive realm. So you've basically got to complete the Great Pyramid of Giza in individualized living forms. Find that chief cornerstone for yourself, which is actually within you anyway. You're just going to move those gatekeepers out the way first. So I hope that has proven the case, as it were, that the Great Pyramid of Giza is a structural, architectural representation of us. So let's just go back to stand easy. That is another way of expressing it. It's S for spirit. The letter T is the I, that's you and I individually, and you're at your highest level, which gives you the letter T shape. So it's ST and, now you got EA, that's the everything and the all. That's all and everything, because we're in a photo negative reality. Or it's the energy of all, spirit, and it ends with a Y. The Y is the crucifix that you come off. You resurrect yourself when you find that chief cornerstone. I reflected in height, in meters. That's what I was going to mention about. With the hat on, I probably measure 1.83 meters, which is an expression of 138. But shoe size in metric is 44. My chest size, I think, is 44. I keep seeing 144. Yeah, I just happened to notice 34, 44. I started this recording at 4:44. It doesn't sort of really mean anything as such, but it does have a meaning at the same time. Because the 144 is the spirit added to the eternal that is split into duality. That's why it's 2 4s, because it's the 8 split in half, equally balanced. And that's what this realm is all about. It's contrasts. It's purely down to perception. But if you can get to the other side, move to the right, into the right hemisphere, as it were, bring yourself back into balance, bring yourself into heart center, you'll start seeing a very different world. One where you won't have so much doubt and fear about things. And it's like everything else, the same blueprint as learning to walk. Take baby steps. You master how to walk so it becomes second nature. You don't have to give it a second thought. Because if you're giving things a second thought, that implies there is doubt. If you have created something in the mind, you remember the future, like the end of the day, you're remembering, although it hasn't happened in the linear play out, that it was a good day. When you get to the end of that day, as long as you hold true to that, see, this is the point. This is also the point of the arrow, is the point of the cornerstone. You're aiming for the bullseye. You've set the path. You've visioned the outcome. You just have to override what the external is presenting. Yes, it's raining now, but it's not a problem because I've preempted it with an umbrella. I just hope that the sound is coming through okay, because the wind's picked up a bit now. Well, we've gone over 30 minutes, but I hope that has at least given you a new way to reappraise your internal structure, to come to that realization that you are a Great Pyramid of Giza, you are a pillar of humanity, if you so choose to be. And of course, if you're a pillar, people will look up to you. They will want to have what you've got as well. They will want to unlock it from themselves. Hopefully. Wow, it's getting noisy now. So I hope that has clarified things. The wind has changed direction. So I'm going to end that there, because I should imagine the sound is not coming through that great with this rain on this umbrella. But hopefully that has inspired you, helped to uplift you, help put you on a trajectory that will help you unlock this inside yourself. There will be more videos to come on this channel. Oh, what's happened again? These screens are so sensitive. Hi JC, this is a slightly more abridged version and more focused on answering to sort of key questions that most people seem to have. So with that, I'm going to say unconditional love to you all, and I think we'll go back in the dry and out of this wind. Thank you very much to all of you that have taken a bit of time out, and I hope that you have found that this is time well spent, because in that I hope also shows you that you can create time, you can also lose time, but how you spend your time, that is down to you. Is it something that is going to benefit you, or is it something that is going to just eat into your time? So as always, unconditional love to you all.